Welcome back to Cooking with Gwen. Today we're going to make my grandmother's fried chicken. Grandmother used to make this a lot when I was a kid, and I liked it a lot. In my mind's eye, I can see her cooking the chicken at the stove. I love Grandma's fried chicken. We can use whatever kind of chicken you like. We can use the skin on and the bone in legs, and the skin on and the bones in on the thighs. We leave the skin on because it's crispier that way. I use the kind with the bones in because that's what my grandma always used. My grandma would get the chickens from the chicken yard. She would go out and to the chicken yard and catch the chicken. And then she would throw the chicken on the ground, and then she would put the broom handle over the neck, and then she would step on both sides of the broom handle and pluck the chicken's head off, and they would flop around. And I used to hide behind the wash house because I didn't want the chickens to get me. We're going to use a cup of flour. I usually eyeball it. Half a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of pepper. I'm going to dunk the legs in a flour mixture. It needs to be coated pretty well. Here's the last piece, and then we're going to start frying it. If you have leftover flour, don't throw it away because you might want it for the gravy. We're going to use Crisco oil, and I like the solid kind. We need a lot of it, about this far up. We wait for the Crisco to get really hot before we put the chicken in. This isn't a healthy meal. It's soul food. It feels good because it's soul food. The chicken needs to be submerged in the oil, but not all the way under, because that's the reason for turning it over. You put the chicken in when the oil is hot, but I don't know how you can tell if it's hot or not. I wouldn't want to stick my finger in there. Just put it in very carefully. Ouch. You let it cook for 30 minutes to an hour, depending upon how much chicken and the temperature of the oil when you put it in. They made a lot of noise when my mother and grandmother were killing them. Yes, it was the silence of the chickens. I can hear them screaming in my mind, but I don't want to think about it. Bad news for the chickens, but delicious. The legs should be done by now. We put a paper towel on the pan to drain the grease off. We're going to make the gravy now. We took out most of the grease, threw it mostly away except for a little bit, and we need the chicken droppings to flavor the gravy. Put the flour in. We have to turn this on. Let this cook. Next, we're going to put the milk in. Yes, just eyeball it. It's not a very pretty gravy, but it sure is delicious when it turns out right. You cook it until it bubbles. Bring it to a boil and then shut it off. That's what we need.
Let's eat.
I never ever felt sorry for the chickens, those chickens.